All right, so we're making this video to train staff in biology, and also if a student somehow has access to this, maybe we gave it to you because you're an advanced student, you want to review the course or something like this, it should move at a fast speed. I speak speeding fast, and I'm going to probably speak even faster. We got Dylan in the house.
What's up, guys? Let's go.
And we got Jen.
Hi.
All right, fine. Jen supposedly is going to be very noisy, but we'll see her noise level. All right, so on the first page, you got the table of contents. This is the structure of what the lessons are laid out for in the course. You have 5 lessons. They come in for 5 lessons. It's pretty simple. It makes sense. I think evolution is the smallest lesson. So when you get there, and ecology is probably the longest. So if you need to go back and review ecology, we'll talk about that when we get there. All right, so lesson 1, body systems. You start with the idea of biology is the study of living things. All living things are made out of cells, and the basic thing that we know if something's living is if it could carry out life functions, if it could reproduce. Those are the qualifications to make something a living thing. Carry out life functions and reproduce. So then you have these 2 questions here. Now, if you're doing this for the first time, stop now, try these 2 questions, put it on pause, then do them, because I'm going to fly through them. So we have these things. They're not considered to be alive. A valid reason is because they don't carry out reproduction independently. So that's exactly that. And then which observation could lead that something's not living? It doesn't do metabolic processes, number 3. So I guess we're saying that that's one of the life functions that it would need to be able to do. That would be number 3. All right, I don't think I'm going to use that. Okay, next, level of organization. So you have basic, the smallest level of organization is a cell. Really, actually, it gets smaller than a cell. What's smaller than a cell, Dylan?
Like the organelle thing.
Jen jumps in and hogs it, an organelle. Right, so organelles make up cells. Cells make up tissues. What's an example of a tissue? I don't know. What's an example of an organ? Your heart. It's made up of a bunch of tissues. Organs make up organ systems, and organ systems make up the final organism. This is in a multicellular organism, obviously. In a single cellular organism, then just it's the cell. There's no level of organization. So we have it laid out here: organelles, cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, organism, basic. Okay. You have to know that order and which one goes from biggest to smallest. So these 2 questions ask basically exactly the same thing. The answer to number 1 is 3, and the answer to number 2 is
4.
Okay, great. All right, organelles. This is something I remember when I was little, making those little goo guys with the little things in it or something to demonstrate organelles. They don't really ask so much on it, so I don't know why I feel like that's the only thing I ever learned in biology. You have to know basically the nucleus is the brain, the cytosol. Okay, you have to have they ask maybe 1 question, 2 questions per region. All right, so look over it. If you need to study it, fine, but that's pretty much it. Which cell structures are correctly paired with their function? The answer is 2. The ribosomes make the proteins, and the nucleus stores genetic information. So the ribosomes make protein, and 2 asks the same thing. The nucleus and the ribosomes come together to do protein synthesis. We'll discuss this in DNA, where the code is in the DNA. It codes for RNA, which codes for protein synthesis. So that's really the rationale behind those 2. The life processes are the the different things that we need to do. Metabolism, some students don't know what that is, but if I said I have a high metabolism, what that means, I break down food quick. Reproduction, excretion, going to the bathroom, sweating, urinating, getting rid of waste. Nutrition is eating, digestion, fine, those should be very easy. And then circulation, immune system we'll talk about, respiratory system is breathing, and synthesis is building things. Don't confuse the respiratory system with respiration. That's a good point. Respiration is the process that we make energy. Respiratory system is just breathing. So we'll hit both of those though. Similarity between human and other multicellulars is that they are composed of organ systems. So that's 2. When people exercise, their bodies build up waste more quickly. Which systems remove the waste? So the answer is going to be the respiratory and the circulatory, I guess.
Not 4.
The skeletal system, that's like the bones.
No, 4.
Oh, circulatory and digestive.
Is digestive.
Yeah, fine. I think fine. Maybe that's right. But that I would think to break down which work to remove the waste. Fine. So circulatory is for sure the answer, and digestive or respiratory. Fine. Maybe it is 4. Okay. 3. Rabbits have evolved strategies that get them through periods of thing. What's the answer to this one? Reproduction. Okay, so these are easy. These should be, you give the students a few minutes to do them, and then you go over them. And some students will, like, especially when they get wordy, try not to do them, and you need to say, look, this test is a lot about reading comprehension, so what we want to do is train you to be ready for the Regent. So if you're too lazy to work on it, you're going to lose a lot of the benefit. This is like training as much as it is studying. Okay, selectively permeable. Okay, so we know that so we have the cell. How do we determine what goes into a cell and what doesn't go into a cell? By something called selectively permeable. The membrane decides what comes in and what doesn't come in. Okay, so there's two ways that something could get into a cell. Two ways. One is by force, and the other is to let it happen naturally. Let's say I want to get you to come to my tutoring course, right? There's probably two ways that I could get you to come. Way one would be I send out big, I'm not going to use a race, but big guys, and they come drag you in by force. They steal your money, and they make you come in. Now, that's called active transport. That requires energy on my part. The other way that I could do it that doesn't require any energy, it's called passive, is if I could create a situation where you naturally come in. Maybe I make a free night, and then you naturally come in. You get to meet us, so that's called passive transport. So that's the two different ways. So active transport uses energy, passive doesn't. Now, examples of passive transport is diffusion. Look at the situation here. You got all these guys squished in there. Do they want to stay in there? Not at all. They want to get out. If you have a zillion guys outside and very few in, everyone wants to get in. So it's basic, easy idea to understand. It's called, osmosis is diffusion of water. Diffusion is with solid particles. And active, so now when would active transport be used? So let's look at these two examples. Let's say I said I wanted to get this CO2 in here. I would need to use energy. Let's say I said I wanted to get this green ball back there. Those things are going to require energy. So if it needs to move from a high concentration to a low, that'll happen naturally. If I want to move from a low to a high, then I know I must have used active transport. And sometimes you have to explain that slowly. I'm not really sure why. All right, so this one here, you just want to make it even. So you'll draw the circles on this side until it's even. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is tricky. The big guys won't fit. So just the small guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's going to be 6 and 6 in the final. And all 5 will have stayed on the left. They don't fit through. So that's to show that the membrane doesn't let anything in, not something that's going to be bigger than the thing itself. So that won't fit in. And we'll talk about that with those dialysis bags at the end with the starch and the iodine. Okay. So same deal here. So now the question asks, which one correctly identifies the process that's going to happen? So there's more outside, so things want to move in. So these are arrows moving in, so we know that's going to be, where does it talk? Oh, so both the water and the oxygen are more outside. So both of those are going to be called diffusion. You don't have to use energy for either of those. And then a characteristic that the two have in common is that each uses ATP. No, only active transport uses ATP. Move molecules. Okay, great. Cell communication. This is how they communicate. They show you these little guys out here. They're called receptors. And then they show chemical messages that fit into the shape of the receptor. So they'll always ask, like, what if a square message got sent? All right, then it's not going to work. It doesn't fit in. So, and also it'll disrupt homeostasis, obviously, if they can't communicate. All right, that would be a problem. Okay. How do cells in the ovary detect a hormone from the brain? So the brain sends a nerve impulse to the ovary. Receptor molecules of the cell of the ovary bind with the hormone. How does the ovary detect a hormone? So the answer is 3, right? That the receptors bind to it. This is another example. One is molecule A is the receptor, and molecule B is the chemical message. So 2, it's a hormone, they call it. Same deal here. They send the message. It's an example of X is a receptor molecule. All right, so very basic. Homeostasis is the idea that everything needs to stay constant. If things fluctuate too much, that's not good. That's why a lot of times also, if you had to see a graph, you'll see a graph that looks something like this. It goes up, down, up, down, up, down, right? Not so much like that. It'll be smoother, yeah, like that. Okay, so that would be right. So that's the graph will usually be the answer, and we'll see those in the graphing section, those up and down graphs. Okay, great. So that's that. Next one, homeostasis. Bumblebees show ability to control their own body temperature during the cold. Okay, this is homeostasis. Some processes that occurs in cells are listed here. Which process will all living things use to maintain homeostasis? Utilize energy, detect change in environments, rearrange and synthesize chemical compounds. I don't know, what's the answer?
I did B and C. I wasn't sure though.
Oh, I did A and B and maybe C. I don't know.
I think all of them. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I skipped that one. I don't like it. Nutrients in a diet, such as proteins, carbs, and minerals, play an important role. Select a nutrient from the passage and write a line of one role it plays in the body. So carbohydrates are turned into energy or something like that. Right? And then describe one specific example how a decrease can alter homeostasis. So if you don't have energy, then now your body can't, perform functions to do homeostasis. And again, they'll look at these and be like, oh, obviously it's homeostasis. You put it on the slide. Yeah, so how did we make this curriculum? We took 5 real regents. We split them up according to topic. So this is all the questions on homeostasis that we found in 5 regents. Now, yeah, when I order them like this, they look very simple. That's why on the day before the regent, we have the crash course where we give you 5 new regents, not split up, and we make you do those also. So this is step 1, is to train each individual component separately. We're doing like layup lines, or Jen, you play volleyball?
No, basketball.
Basketball, layup lines. Fine. Dylan, you play volleyball?
I don't play volleyball, no.
What do you play?
Nothing.
He snowboards.
He
So
plays
we're
school.
he's very bookish. Dylan's a bookish fellow. Okay. Unicellular versus multicellular. So unicellular made up of one, multicellular made up of many. So what they'll ask you to do is compare a unicellular and a multicellular. So for example, the nucleus is the brain. The chloroplast that stores the stuff, the vacuole that stores the stuff is like maybe your bladder. I don't know, something like that, right? The waste is stored there. The cell membrane is like the lungs. It decides what gets into your body or something like that. So then they ask these questions here. So what was number 1?
3.
Yeah, and this one?
3 also.
Also 3. Okay, good. This one? 4. 1, and the last one?
2.
Okay, great. So you all know it, so we don't have to go over them. Great. Okay, so that is a topic that comes up, so it's nice to just know that you'll see that. Synthesis, so synthesis is like the idea of one thing building to another. So amino acids make up proteins. Simple sugars build up starch. Fatty acids make lipids. I don't know if that's really on it. Nucleic acids build up the DNA. Synthesis and digestion are opposites. So digestion break down, synthesis build up. Fine, very nice. Organic and inorganic, I don't know, this you just got to memorize. Organic has both carbon and hydrogen. So DNA has both. Proteins are organic, lipids, carbs. And then inorganic, like H2O, it only has hydrogen, no carbon. CO2. So they'll ask about organic and inorganic substances. I don't know. We'll see examples. It does come up. Cellular respiration. Fine. So this is a very important process. So the idea is basically this. Why do humans breathe? I always ask them. So they'll be like, oh, to live. Okay, why do they need to breathe to live? Oh, to oxygen. Yeah, okay, good. What do they need oxygen for? Okay, so what humans do with oxygen and with the food that they eat, the 2 very important things that they need, is they use those in a process called cellular respiration where they release water. Carbon dioxide is waste, so we pee, and that's why if you don't drink any water but you eat, you will release water. I don't really know if that's true. Try that experiment out. If you catch someone peeing on a fast day, it does not mean that they broke the fast, but it could mean that they did.
There's water in food.
Good point, right. They break it down and turn it into water, yeah. Okay. And then also they release energy, ATP, that's the product that they needed. So now, why don't we run out of oxygen in the world? Because plants take in the carbon dioxide and they take in the water, the 2 waste products that we have, and they give back glucose and oxygen. So that's called the cycle, the carbon-oxygen cycle, and that's why if you cut down trees, and we'll get to this in ecology, that's a bad thing. Cellular respiration, so this is it, C6H12O6, right? So that's glucose plus oxygen gives off H2O, water, CO2, and ATP. ATP is the product. That's what we needed. And then here's the example of the cycle. I guess I put it up here, yeah. So photosynthesis is when plants make it. Fine, very nice. And that's the gas exchange cycle that we just discussed. Fine. Okay, great. And then let's just go quickly through the questions. Identify the molecule represented by letter X. So oxygen, glucose, carbon dioxide, water, that's the ATP, right? Okay, good. Which process occurs in the cells of a green plant leaf? So just number 2, right? Not number 1.
The plants do both.
Don't the plants do both? Also respiration? Nah, I don't think so. Why is that advanced bio knowledge that they really do both?
I don't know, yeah. Maybe not.
I think on this level, they do the photosynthesis. Why? Then they also do
Yeah,
respiration.
I also did do both.
You did both also?
Yeah, but I was deciding between that one or they.
But how do they get? And then they use the glucose and
they
oxygen
use the glucose as like
To break down.
to break down.
Perpetuate it.
Also, maybe the answer is both. Then I don't know. We should look that one up. Star it and just type it into Google. During the process of cellular respiration, energy is released from chemical bonds, right? In order to enter cells and be useful to the body, starch must be
3.
digested into simple sugars, yes. Photosynthesis and respiration are alike in that they both,
Wait, in order?
yeah,
4.
occur within the mitochondria.
Isn't
I don't know if that one was right.
No,
Isn't this
it's
in
not
order?
right. Convert to carbon dioxide. In order to enter cells and be useful to the body, starch must be converted to carbon dioxide and ATP. No, it has to be digested first into the simple sugars, and then those are used in the process. Yeah, because
This is cell respiration.
the starch itself is not converted into carbon dioxide. Maybe after a merger, but yes, I think it has to be digested, and then those simple sugars are you merged with whatever. But yeah, fine. I could see why you could think that. Fine, good question. Photosynthesis and respiration occur within the mitochondria. Require specific catalysts. No, so the answer is result in production of glucose molecules. Require the sun is direct. No, the answer is catalysts. Yeah. It doesn't happen in the mitochondria, right? Mitochondria is only in a what's it called, cell. Right? Yeah. Which process uses energy to combine inorganic molecules to synthesize organic molecules? So inorganic to synthesize organic. So which ones do we say were inorganic?
I did respiration, but I'm not sure.
No, photosynthesis.
So inorganic we said is H2O and CO2, and oxygen would be inorganic also, and then they give off organic carbohydrates. So it's got to be photosynthesis, right? That's a challenging one. Okay, there you go. So it does come up. Which process uses energy to combine inorganic? We just did that. Okay. The cells of some organisms contain chloroplasts and mitochondria. Oh, so it's rare, right? So that's what the point was, that there's no mitochondria in the plant cells. Some of them have that. Which statement describes what would happen if these cells were moved from a light environment to a dark one? Then they would start using the mitochondria. So what's the answer? The oxygen present would decrease. The amount of glucose present would increase, and ATP. The amount of carbon dioxide would decrease, and ATP. The amount of oxygen would increase. The amount of carbon dioxide would decrease, and ATP would be continue to be synthesized. So now that they're in the dark, right? They stop doing. No, now that they're in the dark, they do respiration instead of photosynthesis. So if they do respiration, there should be more carbon dioxide. There should be less.
No, they take in carbon dioxide.
For cellular respiration.
They take in carbon dioxide, but they're going to give off.
Oxygen.
They're going to give off oxygen.
But none of them say oxygen.
Oh, so you're saying the carbon dioxide would no?
Oh,
No, they would take in oxygen.
4 is right.
They would take in oxygen and give off carbon dioxide.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
In cell respiration.
Yeah, you take in oxygen, give off carbon dioxide.
But none of the oxygen say that.
So the oxygen would decrease because they'd be taking in the oxygen, and there would be more carbon dioxide because they'd be giving off carbon dioxide.
Oh yeah, you think it switches up like they do it the other way around now?
No, now they do regular respiration. They're not going to do photosynthesis anymore because they're in a dark environment, so they don't have the ability to. So now they're doing respiration. Since they're doing respiration, they take in all of the oxygen, they use that up, and now in the surrounding environment, they're going to increase the carbon dioxide. Fine, yeah, that was a tough one. Okay, so you do that with the smarter groups. Put a star next to it in your books and write like smart groups or whatever. Which, because you're not going to be able to get through all these questions with. Maybe in 5 towns, Dylan, it seems like they're a little bit quicker. Jen, you definitely I haven't taught that question. No, it seems like, in fact, it's just the impression I got from last night. But we'll see. Which 2 processes are responsible for keeping the percentage of atmospheric oxygen at constant levels? So, 3. Photosynthesis, right, that's the cycle. The energy released when sugar molecules are broken down is stored in
ATP.
right? Okay, good. The diagram below, the action of cell X and cell Y, so it's opening up cell X. Yeah, what's the answer here? Yeah, controlling water loss, right? So it stays closed in certain situations, certain times you sweat. Enzymes are the catalyst, so we had that question there. It really should have been moved, the one with the require catalyst. So maybe you could put a star next to it and do it, go back, or don't even do it. Say go back after we do enzymes. And they're affected by, the temperature and the shape and whatnot. So chemical things that help them known are called catalysts. And as a result, cells may not do which of these would cause disruption? Catalysts known as enzymes, so it's easy. Okay, disease, the immune system. So you have these invaders, pathogens, microbes that come into your body, and there's multiple different ways that your body would fight back against this. So there's two types of ways that you can be infected. There's through invaders, and then there's through internal issues like abnormal cells. We'll talk about both. So we have these antigens that come in, and our body, upon identifying the disease, goes into the workshop and starts dreaming up this army that it could create to fight back against the disease. It creates a super soldier that right away destroys it. Those are called antibodies. Now, a couple of situations. One is your body, for some reason, cannot be making the antibodies. So what you could do is you could go to the doctor and take antibiotics. That's just like drinking the army. You drink the army and it goes in. Your body doesn't need to make it. It's like outside soldiers. The other thing that you could do is that your body will eventually make antibodies on its own. And once it does, it keeps record books. If we ever see this bad guy again, we don't need to go into the lab and analyze it and figure out how to fight it. We know already the soldier. So it'll have it on file. That's why you don't get sick from the same, chicken pox twice. Now, a way to kind of a smart thing the doctors did is they said, what if we inject you with a weakened version of the disease? That's called a vaccine, right? What if we gave you a weakened version of the disease, and now your body will learn how to fight it, it'll have it on file, and then it'll fight back at any point that it needs to. So that's the idea of a vaccine. You're giving yourself the disease, and then your body knows how to fight it. So that's pretty much what we need. So let's look at this. Cells of the immune system are able to respond to the presence of invading organisms because they recognize the antigens. That's the bad guy. Which statement best describes why pathogens are harmful? Pathogens cannot be controlled. Pathogens produce antibodies. No, pathogens interfere. Just four. They just interfere with normal life function. Micro white blood cell function of the white blood cell is to prevent loss of blood from a wound, produce specialized molecules that mark invaders. I guess that's the answer. Okay. So I guess don't talk about the cures in the beginning, then talk about the cures now. Antibodies versus vaccines, right? A new vaccine that was tested, the new vaccine will be effective if it helps the bear by stimulating antibodies. So vaccine codes for the antibodies. And then, you got to read this thing. A vaccine for cocaine addiction has been developed. That's actually pretty interesting. The vaccine temporarily blocks the effect of cocaine. And then, I don't know, what's the answer to 60?
The cocaine substance and an inactive, harmless cholera.
Protein,
Yeah, that's it. Okay, good. Describe one effect that the vaccine has on the immune system.
They get the body to produce antibodies.
Right, it stimulates the production of antibodies. How does this vaccine help treat cocaine addiction?
Reduces the effects of cocaine.
Right, blocks the effect of cocaine, exactly. Usually you could just find a quote exactly in it.
Yeah, it says it.
Okay. Problems with the immune system. You have AIDS, your immune system stops working. Allergies, your body starts thinking that normal things are harmful. It starts going to war on random for no reason. It's like, oh, we got to start fighting. And then organic transplants are foreign. Like if you get a heart transplant and then your body thinks that it's an invader and starts killing that. Number one. Two. Number two. Two. Number three.
One.
Do you have a dispute? Okay. An individual recovers from a common cold which is caused by this. The person then becomes affected by this flu, which occurred by the bird flu. Which statement describes what most likely happens to the person? He will have the symptoms of the bird flu because he's not immune to the avian flu virus. He will have the symptoms of common cold because he's not immune to the avian flu. He will not have the symptoms of the bird flu. He will not have the symptoms of the common cold. So I think, if anything, it's only going to be possible that he has the avian flu, right? So it's not going to be the common cold one. So 2 and and whatever the other one's right,
Yeah.
4 out. Okay. Is he going to get the symptoms or not? So he is going to get the symptoms. Every different version of the virus could still get you sick. So I always talk about this. Why chickenpox do you only get once? But the flu, every year you go get a flu vaccine. Every year, a new flu vaccine. The doctor's just trying to make money off of you. So we'll talk about this more in evolution. But once you are able to kill a certain version of the flu, that version of the flu won't survive anymore. And it encourages the other versions of the flu to become more prominent. And then you could re-get sick by those. Fine. And then the final one? One. All right, great. Allergies. Usually harmless substances are known as right, okay. Not very difficult. Diabetes. Fine. All right, we're done with chapter number 1.